Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, checking in here with my colleague, best friend, co-host, Uncle Buck. Drew, what's up, buddy? How are you, man?
What's good, Buckets? It's just a dreary week here in Northeast Mississippi, but everything is all good. We've had a good week. Everybody's happy and healthy, and really can't ask for much better. How's everything going up there in Martin?
Oh, man, it is going so much better. More to come in the best of the week, but yeah, man, life is good right now. A lot of things good are happening for old Buckets up here. A lot of positivity, a lot of good things going for me. So I'm excited for what the future is going to hold and excited for next steps that are happening. But yeah, been rainy, dreary here all week and up to my knees in mud in the backyard. But other than that, life is good, man.
It would not be a Two Buck Sports Show without Rusty saying something super cryptic that everybody tries to read into. I'm telling you what, if this was a bigger show, we would really have the message. You would have the message board stirred up at all times.
That's it. They would be shutting down like Kentucky's did after their exit from the NCAA tournament. But yeah.
So yeah, it's been a good week here. I think it's been a good week all around. We had a good weekend. We got to see each other. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But yeah, so we're going to start this podcast off the same way we start off every show, without talking about sports. It is two best friends just talking about the best thing that happened to them this week and the worst thing that happened to them this week. We call it our Bucks Best and our Bucks Beef of the week. So, Rusty, I set it up. You knock it down. What was your best of the week?
My best of the week is, as previously announced, on the Daily Grind that comes on this same network, same channel where you're watching us every day at 1 o'clock. Your boy is heading back to Memphis. It has been a long time coming, man. I am super stoked. More details to come, but just a great professional opportunity is taking me back to the city that I love. I left Memphis in 2015 and always said I was coming back. And here I am 9 years later, and I'm back in the 901. So super stoked for next steps that are coming. It gets me close to the Grizz. So yes, season tickets are coming. I will get to for my colleague over here, make sure he can attend some of the games. But just so excited to be back in Memphis, back among a city that I love and close to a sports franchise that I love, but also with a great professional opportunity that I think will pay dividends for me now and down the road. So I'm back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Has it been 9 years since you left Memphis? Is that right?
I moved back to Corinth.
That kind of puts a timeline on our friendship. That's why I'm asking.
April 2015 is when I moved back to Corinth, and we would have met later that spring. Well, rekindled later that spring.
Rekindled the old flame. I am excited for Rusty. I do feel like he kind of pump faked me a little bit because when he left South Carolina, he said, "I'm coming home to Corinth." And so I was like, all right, cool. Set us up a home studio, have the whole in-person show here. And then he just kind of head faked me real good, hit me with that, the James Harden, threw his head back on me as he was going around the defender there and decided he was just going to go back to Memphis. And so there are perks. I told Rusty when he moved to South Carolina, I guess that was 5 or 6 years ago. I told him, I said, now listen, I don't have a problem with friends and leaving and moving away as long as you move somewhere that I want to go and visit. And he did that with Myrtle Beach. He came back home-ish for a season, and he's going to do that now in Memphis. And so my only requirement as being a faithful, loyal friend for what's going on 10 years now is season tickets. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Especially next year when they're going to be through the roof because we're actually going to be good and expectations are high. So we might be section 230 row Z, but we're going to be in the building.
What's funny is what you do is you get the cheap tickets. And then every year as you get your cost of living raised, you just take that little money and you add it to the season ticket package. And maybe you move up a row or you just slide down to the aisle seat, one way or the other. You just inch your way down. And maybe by the time that we retire and we're flush with cash because we're not taking care of youngins or constantly moving, having constant moving expenses,
Yeah.
we can afford to, like, I don't know, sit on the court side on games that nobody's there. Well,
Yeah,
our
maybe.
goal is to have tickets good enough that we can sneak down to close to the court.
Yes, 100%. That's our goal, to where it won't be, so suspicious that we're coming with our nose still bleeding back down there to sit courtside. We might be able to fit in.
Yeah. My best of the week. So Monday was the solar eclipse, and it was fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got a fun idea for the next solar eclipse. I'll get to that in a minute. But with kids, something like this is not something that I was interested by. And yes, I did get me some glasses and go walk out in the parking lot and like look up every once in a while. But then I called my wife and I was like, "Haley, do you know if their kids they're even letting the kids out in the playground to look at this or whatnot?" Because Chloe was like super excited about it. She was come home telling me facts about it one day. And she said, "There won't be another one until I'm 29 years old." And so I was like,
Wow.
"I'm going to get them." I told Haley, I was like, "I'm just going to check them out." So we just went and got them, and we just passed the shades around in the backyard and watched it. It was really cool. But I have an idea on how to make it better. And this is a group effort from pretty much anybody. Is next time, don't tell us it's happening. And just see what happens. I do not want to know about the next eclipse. I want to walk outside and be like, "Dang, it's dark outside. What's going on?
Yeah.
Wake up. Oh crap, where's the sun?" And everybody just go into full-blown panic mode. And I just want to see what happens. Because it's not like it goes on for long enough to where like you've got to worry about like massive rioting and looting. By the time they get to the probably me too. By the time we get to Walmart looking for bread and water and toilet paper, the sun's going to be out again. We're just going to be like, "Oh, that was nothing." So, yeah, I want the next solar eclipse to be a total sneak attack on everybody.
Maybe we got one coming they hadn't told us about, but I don't know if
they
saw
told
it.
me. Yeah, they told me the last one happened in 2017, my first semester at Mississippi State. And at that time, they were like, "This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." And like, here we are 7 years later, and it's a twice-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm like, did the 2017 happen? Like, a lot has happened since then. Like, did I like fever dream that, or was that a real thing?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw.
May have been the coach at Ole Miss. Like, I was not interested in reliving that year at all.
I saw some Twitter, so I can't take credit for it, but I saw it showed the path of the next eclipse where totality will be.
Right.
And it goes right over Orlando, Florida. So that's going to be the most expensive Disney ticket.
Oh my gosh.
Ever. It's for
it
people
was
that
so
want to
funny.
be in Disney for totality in the next eclipse.
I mean, John Calipari wanted to see totality so bad that he left Kentucky on a private jet to go to Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's the only reason you go to Fayetteville, Arkansas. To see the eclipse.
Yeah. Oh, my parents were in Little Rock and got to see it now. They'd kind of planned it out because Monday was actually my dad's birthday as well. And my dad and mom's best friends, I mean, we call them aunt and uncle. It's one of those, I don't know, maybe it's a Southern thing where close friends are aunt and uncle to you, and you're
Uncle Buckets right here.
Yeah. And case in point, my kids will raise to call Rusty Uncle Buckets. And so I was raised to call these people in Arkansas Uncle Scott and Aunt Lori, and their kids were my cousins, and it was real shocker when we found out later that we weren't actually related. Long story short, they just went to go see Uncle Scott and Aunt Lori in Arkansas for my dad's birthday, and it happened to be the eclipse and everything, and so it was neat, but it was crazy seeing on the news like the interstate buckled going into Arkansas. It's a parking lot to get into Arkansas. Like
Arkansas.
Who in Arkansas?
Why? Yeah.
So, that is my best of the week. Just the experience, and then I think I just had an amazing idea. And so take with that what you a meteorologist, amateur weather sleuths, social media, just not talk about the next one.
Yeah, that's it. Just let it happen. Just let it be a total sneak attack, and we'll see what happens. I'm here for it.
What's your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is my co-host.
Oh, okay.
So tonight I assumed, because the last 2 weeks we've recorded a little bit later because Uncle Buck has been at T-ball practice with his children. A very commendable thing to do. I'm here for it.
Coach Buck.
Coach Pitch.
Coach Buck.
Coach Buck. Yeah. So I'm here for Coach Buck. I'm here for him being there for his kids. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm very pro that. So I assumed tonight was going to be another one of those nights. So I come home from work, I have my dinner, I take my dog for a walk, and I sit there and I say, you know what? I have worked really hard in the gym this week. I've been very clean with my eating. I've done a lot of right things this week. So I'm going to reward myself with a little treat. So I get in my truck and I sashay right down. There's a Dairy Queen, a 1/10 of a mile down here.
The DQ. Grill and chill, baby.
So I pull into the DQ parking lot and I'm sitting in my truck, vibing out to some Nathaniel Ray Lifts, just hanging out, having a time, sitting there, and all of a sudden my watch buzzes. I look at it. It says, yo, and it's from my esteemed colleague. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? And he says, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I assumed you had ball practice. What's going on? And he said, I can be ready in 10. And I'm like, I have a business decision to make.
Oh, dude, if you told me that you need 30 because you're getting a blizzard, like, there's no better excuse in the world. Like,
here's the thing. I was going to show up with it. I was just going to be here just like munching on it during our segment.
Oh, man.
But I was 3 deep, and I pull up to the window, and they're like, hi, welcome to Dairy Queen. We'll be with you in a minute. 2 minutes goes by, 3 minutes goes by, 5 minutes go by, and I start getting nervous. I'm like, I can't say I got to go. So I pull out a line, and I drive here. And I was going to get the peanut butter cookie dough. Like, I already had my mind made up. Give me a small. I was going to dominate that thing while we were recording this show. But my colleague here did me a solid. So I guess it's a positive beef for me not getting a DQ. So instead, I'm sitting here drinking a Wiseacre as a substitute. But, man, I was looking forward to that blizzard until you text me.
Oh, man. You could have showed up at 9 o'clock and said, sorry, man, I had to get a blizzard. And I'd be like, man.
Cool.
I was a bachelor one time in Starkville, Mississippi. The Dairy Queen was on the other side of town. I mean, there wasn't anything around that Dairy Queen, and your boy was getting a Royal Oreo Blizzard when he felt a hankering for a Royal Oreo Blizzard.
Man,
have you ever had? Do they still do those with the hot fudge in the middle?
Yeah. I was looking at it tonight, and I was like, I normally go strawberry, but I'm feeling like peanut butter tonight. And I was gonna get that peanut butter cookie dough, like, oh, it's gonna be so good. But you had to text me and say I'm ready in 10, and I'm like, oop, I gotta go.
Hey, listen, that's on you, man. You got to speak up. You got to know your audience here, and your audience is always in favor of a blizzard.
I mean, I'm well aware, but at the same time, I'm like, I'll make one more good decision, and I'll go home and not get Dairy Queen.
Well, hey, tomorrow, have a Dairy Queen. Have a blizzard on me.
That sounds good. I'll pick it up on my way home. But hit me. What's your beef of the week?
O.J. Simpson died. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. We get taken 100 different ways, but just whichever is good with you. My beef of the week. Shoo. It's been a pretty good week. Yes. No, my beef of the week is just like that. I don't care about the Grizzlies anymore. Talk to me at the lottery, I guess. Like, I don't really have much to say. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the season ended when Marc Gasol's jersey went up in the rafters on Saturday night, and so
what a moment.
We're gonna get to that. It's just, I don't really have a real beef. I don't guess. Like, it's been a pretty good week. The weather's been kind of crappy, but crappy weather allows me to catch up on like a lot of like the paperwork and stuff that I have to do. And so it's been an eventful week. I mean, I've accomplished a lot this week, despite it just being disgusting outside. And it has been disgusting. Oh, yeah. I've got a beef. Oh, here we go.
Here it is.
Allow me to be Rusty Buckets Witten right now and complain about the pollen that's falling off the trees right now. Those trees that my wife won't let me cut in the front yard have the little pollen strings that clog up my gutters. There,
and your nose.
Yeah. Oh, thankfully it rained. The rain caused them to fall, so I think it. I'm hoping they just kind of wash before they
germinate.
They germinate.
Yeah,
but
there's that word.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know that that's the right word or not.
I don't know, but it counts. This is our show, dadgummit. It counts.
So
yeah, man, those are things they get everywhere. They shake pollen dust all over you. And yeah, like I'm only working on about like 40% nasal capacity right now, which is kind of the standard for me until June. So can relate.
Yeah, 40% nasal capacity, 40% follicle capacity.
Sure. Yeah, maybe. But 40% might be, and then we're operating about 10% brain power combined here. So we both sit here smooth brained and not real sure what's happening.
Yeah, our brains have no riches.
No, none.
Somehow we've ended up with CTE despite not playing contact sports.
Yeah, right.
But anyways, yeah, that's been our Bucks best and our Bucks beef segment. I think it's our favorite. And it's definitely my mom's favorite segment of the show every single week. So we're going to hit a break here. When we get out of the break, we're going to talk about the Grizzlies, primarily the Marc Gasol jersey retirement. I know we're a little late to that, but it's still important to us. It's our show, dang it. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to hit the Grizzlies. Third segment, we're going to talk about some college baseball. We're going to talk about just other happenings in sports. I'm sure we'll touch on Calipari going to Arkansas. We'll talk about who's going to fill the Kentucky job and a lot more. So just stick around with us. Hang tight with us. You only get us for about an hour and 15 minutes a week. So enjoy it while you can. Until then, let me tell you about my mama, Vicky Gann, CPA. It is tax season. We always joke that April the 15th is my mom's second birthday of the year because income tax season ends on April 15th. But it doesn't have to be the end for you. You can file extensions, whatever. It's not too late. Call Vicky Gann, CPA. She does personal income taxes, business income taxes, payroll, QuickBooks, anything you need, everything you need. Call Vicky Gann, CPA. Her phone number is 662-415-6446, or you can email her at Vicky, V-I-C-K-I, Gann, CPA@gmail.com. If you or anyone you know needs an accountant, she's the one to call. You or anyone you know run a small business and need help with QuickBooks, if you have it and you don't know how to work it or you want to learn how to work it for the first time, call Vicky Gann, 662-415-6446. She will tell you everything you need to know, and you'll walk away a happy customer. And when you talk to Mama, feel free to call her Mama if you like. Tell her you heard about her from the $2 Sports Show. It would make her day. It would make our day. And until then, Rusty, take us to the break.
Not just the level of individual talent that he plays with, but it's also the level of his mind. We haven't gotten cross-court open shot this year. Right. We haven't seen that pass a lot. Number one, you got to respect him going to the basket. There's a roller. I got to watch the roller. He has the mind to be able to say, I see all of that, and now I see this guy over here. I'm going to get him this open shot. How shifty he is to always be going forward. It's usually side to side. Yeah. His dribble moves are side to side, but going forward. Right. Which is very hard to defend. I just want to get you, as many times can I get you to do this? But for him, it's not here. It is here, which is with are his moves to get down the floor. It's awkward for a defender to try to catch a cadence. You dribble. So now what I do is now when you go put that ball down, I'm going for it. But with him, it's hard for my cadence. But what's my cadence for you? I don't know what it is.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Who do you need to step it up? Outside of David Jones, I think David Jones is David Jones.
I don't think you need him to step it up because he's been performing.
Yeah, he's David Jones. Outside of him, he's fine.
I think Quinterly needs to play better.
In what way? He's facilitating the ball well. What do you, I don't.
To a 12 from the field's not cutting it.
It's not great. It's not great.
And I don't need a runner three from the top of the key with 3.5 seconds left.
Is Virginia the game where Jordan Brown is going to cook? Those dudes aren't looking to run the ball.
Cook what? Dude, I thought he was going to have a freaking night. He came out with that fresh cut, lined up, and then literally within the first 15 seconds missed a wide open layup, and then picked up 2 fouls right away.
I feel real lied to because I thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy.
Didn't think it did anything for you.
Well,
I think we all thought we were getting a 20 and 10 guy. And we are getting that in David Jones.
I'm not even getting 20 or 10 minutes out of the guy.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. It is your time to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, the one team that your co-hosts do agree on, the Memphis Grizzlies here. And Drew, what a weekend it was for the Grizz. You know, we were caught in FedEx Forum. It appeared on our social medias this week where we were there in the building for what is one of these, in my opinion, top 3 moments in FedEx Forum that I've been a part of. I was there for the Western Conference Finals. I was there for Zebo's jersey retirement. And then we were there for Zebo's jersey retirement. And we were there for Marc Gasol's 33 going up in the rafters. And what an experience it was.
You are sorely mistaken, because number one FedEx Forum experience of all time is the man, the myth, the legend, Garth Brooks.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. Don't listen. If you're watching this right now, don't ask why we're wearing lizard masks. Okay.
Don't ask questions.
Yes. So buckets, and soon as we got the Grizz PR notification, the only Grizz PR notification that has halted good news all year, that the Memphis Grizzlies would be retiring Marc Gasol's jersey on April the 6th in the year of our Lord 2024. We immediately snatched up tickets, and we got good tickets. We were in. I mean, we were on like
the front row of the upper deck. Yeah, section. I mean, they were killer
great
seats.
You know, for us poor folks, that's a great seat.
Yeah.
And so, so we made the trip. My wife and I, we got our first date night since the new baby got here, and it resulted in just like your boy just, you know, we showed up and we had a good time.
Let our hair down. We had a good time.
We let our hair down, much like we're doing now. Our hair is totally up at this point. There's no wind going through our hair. In fact, I'm not even sure that we still have it. And so what made it even better is upon arriving to the parking lot in which my wife and I met Rusty and Miss Maggie, was that I got my birthday present, which was not a lizard mask, but a Grizzlies WWE luchador mask. I was looking for a logo, man.
It's on the Beale Street Blue side over here, hiding back here in the back.
And so naturally, during most of the game in which I was bored, I would just randomly at times throw this on, and you saw it in our social media. If you follow our Instagram account, Rusty, of course, only put those pictures up. And so a good time was had. The game was awful, Rusty. It's one of the worst games I've sat through in my life.
Yes. But we had a purpose to sit through it.
The festivities were great. 8-ball and MJG at halftime, 10 out of 10. The 100%. Vignettes, the videos from former players during the game and the breaks and stuff were great. Everything, we even had a Dylan Brooks game.
We even had a Dylan Brooks sighting, talking about Mark calling him a fool for his entire rookie year, which like only in Memphis and only in the movies, right?
Yeah. It resulted in all of Grizzlies fans picking up where Mark left off once Mark left, calling him a fool. You know, but this is, you know, I do believe, quick aside, Dylan Brooks will be looked back on his time as a Grizzly as a positive thing. He will be 100%. Celebrated. You know,
100%.
Memphis always reps their own, and Dylan Brooks is one of us. Anyways, it was great. It was great. The whole thing was great. You scroll through on Twitter and you kind of see some snippets over, you know, people would point out people in the crowd. Oh, Darrell Arthur's here. Oh, Rudy Gay's here. Bino Udrih's here.
Bino.
Everybody loves Bino. The first and only good backup point guard Mike Conley ever had.
Right. And Bino was a force in his heyday. Love that dude.
And so it was just so cool to see that about Mike. Obviously, Powell was there, Mark with his wife and kids, and Powell with his kids, and their parents were there. I mean, it was just a great game. It was just a great experience. And that's before we even got to
the core four,
the ceremony. And then the ceremony started.
Yes.
And they brought the stage out, and then you got to see who all was there. Obviously, Tayshaun was there because he's in the front office, and you got to see, you know, all the people we just talked about, former players, you know. And then the big moment. the announcing of the Core Four. It was the first time since 2016, 19 that the Core Four had been in the same room together, not in the FedEx Forum together, but in the same place anywhere. They had never even met up for dinner since then. And for them to get the heroes welcome into the FedEx Forum, and honestly, not Marc Gasol related, Mike Conley showing up there.
Oh my gosh, dude, that was huge. I mean, they're playing on the West Coast. They're not even remotely close to Memphis, and Mike goes out of his way in between two games to fly to Memphis to be there for his best friend. What a great story they had of him on the video board around eating in Spain, where Mark's making him eat real food, and Mike's like, I just want chicken nuggets and fries. But it was just good to see Mike put that effort to be there for Mark. I mean, it was an incredible moment to have the four of those guys chopping it up on the stage.
It was a top 10 moment for me as a Grizzlies fan. Yeah. And especially since I got to be there in person.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I feel like there's been some discourse lately. I mean, I feel like I believe one of the core tenets, one of the foundational pieces that made the Grit and Grind Grizzlies special to Memphis and Grizzlies fans was the fact that we were unappreciated nationwide. And I felt like that came back a little bit when the Grizzlies are celebrating Marc Gasol and you're talking about the future retirement of Tony Allen, for people to come back and be like, they were cool there, but how small of them they never won anything. They didn't win a title. Why are you retiring numbers of people who didn't win a ring and all this other kind of stuff that's only the people that cheer for the Celtics, Lakers, or Knicks have to say
care about.
You stay over there on your left coast, and let us do our thing. Let us appreciate the people that we appreciate. The Grizzlies are still just a 25-year-old franchise. We can't boast championships from the 60s as if they're relevant today anyways.
And we were a brand of basketball that's unappreciated, a throwback brand of basketball. So we were appealing to a very specific audience at the time. Right. We're a small market team. We're never going to get the pub, like you said, of Boston or LA or New York. It is what it is, and that's fine. It's just like Zivo said in the video, that montage that they played. His famous line, right? It's a blue collar town. I'm a blue collar player. People going to sleep on Memphis. They're going to continue to sleep on the Grizz until we have that parade at 191 Beale. And we are insufferable on Twitter. Y'all think we're consistently voted as some of the best fans in the league, though, on Twitter polls and by different outlets and stuff. We will not be when we win that NBA championship, because we will be insufferable, because we've earned it, because we've had the shots that my colleague talked about here. We've had the media play Oklahoma City as the darlings when they're doing a bit that's already been done by your Memphis Grizzlies. And so keep sleeping on us. That's fine. We're going to love our own. We're going to celebrate our own. We've got 2 of the 4 so far. TA up next. Mike when he retires. Those 4 numbers will never be worn in Memphis again. And I cannot wait for those ceremonies, because each, Zebo's was great. And it was cool how it matched their personalities, right? Because Zebo's was a rap concert throughout the ceremony, right? They did the music right before the ceremony.
Because Zebo is a hip hop mogul at this point.
Exactly. But Mark's, they did the concert at halftime, and then it was more intimate, sit down, talk, it was Mark was a cerebral player. It was very much a conversation among greats, and it was just so fitting. And there's a picture that I posted. I'm probably going to use it as the picture for this episode of our co-hosts here, both of us just leaning on the rail like 2 big kids watching. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a throwback to growing up with this team. I talked about it yesterday on the Daily Grind when I was there with Luke. I grew up again. I grew to love the NBA again. I kept up with Vancouver. I kept up with the Grizz when they were bad, but I grew to love the NBA and basketball again because of those 4 dudes that were on that stage. And so for me, it was such a nostalgic moment.
I was a fan of players. My first favorite player, I've said this on the show before, was Steve Nash. He was a short guy that I
can relate.
Can relate. And he was a 2-time MVP. He was great. And he was one of the best passers and pure point guards that the game's ever seen. He was my first favorite player. However, when he went to the Lakers, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to cheer for him. So I found a team, and the team, and there was no superstar on that team, and it really made me love the cohesiveness, the team aspect that the Grizzlies have always shown out there. And for anybody to say that, Tony Allen should not have his jersey retired, but Marc Gasol should, if none of them deserve it, if one of them doesn't deserve it, then none of them deserve it. That's the whole thesis of the grit and grind Grizzlies. That is everything mashed up into one. If you had to pick one thesis sentence, it was 4 guys from different walks of life who did 4 totally different things, but they made it together.
Just like Memphis.
The sum were better than the individual parts.
Just like the city of Memphis.
And it was just a righteous experience to sit there in that crowd and to relive those days, because those, we may not look back in 20 years saying those were the glory days, but those were the first glory days.
100%. And they walk so this next gen can run.
Yeah. We have a brighter future right now than we ever had with those grit and grind Grizzlies. We had a window, but it was a short window, and we knew it when we were in it that it was a short window. This is the most wide open championship contention window that the Grizzlies have ever had and may ever have.
Exactly.
And so to take it back to where we were, to where it started, Grizzlies in its infancy, to show that one Gasol went 0-12 in the playoffs, to take us to the next Gasol, whose jersey's retired now, and to take us that into Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane.
Preach.
Like, we are borderline spoiled at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
The only thing we need is a championship, and we're going to have that opportunity. And that's one thing I said to Rusty is when we were watching those grit and grind Grizzlies, my favorite thing about it is that we were in it every single time. There was never a stretch of basketball like we're in now, honestly, because of injuries. But there was never a stretch of basketball where we weren't in it. We weren't trying to win. We were not winning our fair share and scaring people. When we lost, we scared them.
And even Kevin Durant said that in the Marc documentary. He said that those teams may not have won a championship, but they were the team that you didn't want to play. They were just that one play away from being a championship level team. And I mean, there was a couple years, those 14, 15 seasons where that could have very easily happened without an injury to Marc, without, a couple bounces not going our way. Zebo
Mike doesn't break his face and TA doesn't pull his hamstring,
Yeah. Zebo doesn't get tossed. Like, there's a lot of things that happen and endeared us to those players, right? Like Masked Mike was a killer that postseason until we just ran out of gas.
Golden State series. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
TA got hurt. Yeah. But it's the thing that what we've learned, we both cheer for baseball teams who have won a College World Series recently. And you just see it. Even the best teams, the 16-0 New England Patriots, like the best teams in the world still have to have some luck on their side.
Yeah,
the grit grind Grizzlies didn't have it when they needed it.
Yeah,
what we're hoping for is that we've cashed in all of our bad luck this year. All of our juju's gone. Now we're owed some good luck.
That's it. I need some white girl with a nose ring to go with whatever crystals we need down at FedEx Forum for next year so we can make it work.
So take it from 2 guys that look like the Mexican version of Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse. The Grizzlies their best days are coming, but we are appreciating what Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, and Mike Conley did. And next year, when it's Tony Allen's turn, you better believe top dollar will be spent by the $2 here to go see TA's jersey retirement.
We will absolutely be in the building again, absolutely cheering our heads off, and we hope to see y'all there as well. Because
we won't even have to scramble for tickets. We won't even have to scramble for tickets because you're going to have season tickets, right?
Exactly. We can use my tickets. It'll be great. Oh, man. Yeah, but otherwise, not much going on in the Grizzly world right now. We're winding down the season. We got 2 games left against the Lakers Friday night, the Nuggets on Sunday, and then the season is over. I'm sure the guys already have tea times in Cabo, and it's a wrap in Memphis. We're not going to see any of the big players again the rest of this year. I don't know why you play Brandon Clark anymore. I don't know why you play Jaren anymore. You get these young guys to run.
Not.
Use these 10-day guys, and the guys who, like I said earlier on the Daily Grind yesterday, as you're listening to this, the guys are going to be playing at LA Fitness next week. Let's use those cats and let's move on to the offseason.
You know, it's funny. The injury report used to have some questionables and maybe some doubtfuls in it. I don't know if you saw the injury report that came out a couple hours ago. There were 14 outs and no questionables. The out list: Santi Aldama, Desmond Bain, Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson Jr., Luke Kennard, John Conchard, John Morant, Derrick Rose, Marcus Smart, Lamar Stevens, Yuta Watanabe, Vince Williams Jr., and Zaire Williams. So I guess it's G.G. Jackson and Jake LaRavia are the only 2 rostered players.
Yep.
Full rostered players that's going to be playing. So Jordan Goodwin, hey, have yourself another day.
Have a night.
Who else?
Have a night. Jake from Wake can go for 30+ again. Have a night.
And eat crow, Rusty, please. You saw the step back. Isaac Okoro's ankles are still on the ground in his home court in Cleveland, Ohio, because Jake from Wake just quaked him. Jake from Wake with the earthquake on Isaac Okoro.
He's making a great
step back 3. I mean,
he's making a great highlight tape that somebody's going to pick him up in our blockbuster trade this summer when we go finally get that big. We talked about this on the Daily Grind. If you hadn't listened to yesterday's, go listen to me and Luke chop it up. We talk about this very thing. Given the choice of Jake LaRavia or Luke Kennard, I'm keeping Luke Kennard. I'm shipping Jake LaRavia off and getting back a big. Miss me with the Jake LaRavia stuff. Sure, it's a small sample size. It's been a good sample size. He can go be somebody else's project because the man is still slow-footed. He still moves like his feet are in concrete. He's doing better at creating his own shots.
You know whose feet was in concrete last night? Isaac Okoro, after they were taken straight off of him.
Fair. But my man is slow-footed. Go be somebody else's project. I
have been impressed with the way he gets to the foul line. He's a good body. He's got a big body who draws a lot of fouls in the paint. And he makes a lot of free throws. I mean, he made 8 threes last night. There is potential there. You can't tell me it's not.
There is upside.
I think you're just going to go to your grave thinking he sucks, and that's your prerogative. He doesn't suck, and I'm still not going to say like he's untouchable. Obviously not.
Yeah, well, I was right about David Roddy.
To make up a random who would you rather have, Luke Kennard or Jake LaRavia? Like, of course.
That's not random. That's a question that's going to come up this offseason. Like, that's a real thing. You're going to have to decide between roster spots because you can only carry so many dudes. That's a real thing. I was right about David Roddy. I'm probably still going to be right about Jake LaRavia.
Jake LaRavia is the truth.
Yeah, anyway, we're going to commercial break, and we're going to, on the other side, we're going to talk about sports, college baseball, John Calipari, other tomfoolery. We'll catch y'all after the break.
See you, Ray.
I'm just big on being able to vocalize what someone's role is. I always thought my best coaches were the people that let me know exactly what you expect from me. Now, I might not like it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. But if you come to me man to man to say, this is how we think we're gonna play you. Bang, 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 and hopefully everybody understand. I'm not saying that this has not been done with this team. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying from my experience, we all have egos when we get to this game. Right. All of us, to the last person on the bench, you got an ego, but all of us can't be the man. Yeah, you got to be able to say, okay, he's the man, but what do I do and what can I do to help us be good? And if it's vocalized to you, then you know exactly and if I'm out there doing it and now I'm not getting the result from you, now we got to sit down and have another conversation. Mm-hmm. But as long as it is told to you, this is what we expect from you, this is how we want you to play, then I feel like, again, keeping this logo. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. All right, Christian.
Yes.
You are Penny Hardaway.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Today, you're going to play act, okay? Gabe, because you're a Jordan Brown apologist, you're going to be Jordan Brown.
I'm a Jordan Brown apologist. Okay.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Y'all are sitting across the room from each other.
I said, don't tweet him hate. And he's like, you're an apologist. Like, good God. But either way, continue. We're in a room together.
Why did things break down?
Jordan, we brought you in this year to be the centerpiece of our offense. You came in out of shape. Let's call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. We play fast. Told you this when we were recruiting you. We play fast. One of the fastest paces in the country. You have to be able to get up and down the floor. You have failed at that.
Oh, well, I'm leaving. So it's fine. Cool.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Oh, welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. We are winding down the show here where we talk about general sports, tomfoolery, and other things that come to mind. I've got a couple topics queued up. Drew, we'll start with our tournament challenge. You know, we wrapped it up, another successful $2 Sports Show bracket challenge with March coming to an end. We have a new NCAA champ, technically an old NCAA champ, as the UConn Huskies repeated in dominant fashion. I called it. They were my championship pick. I picked UConn to win it all, but I didn't pick the rest of them right. So I finished in 11th in our bracket, which is still 9 places ahead of my co-host here as he finished in 20th. But pretty chalky is the winning bracket. Pretty chalky. If you're listening to the show, I know you are. Hit us up on Discord. Let us know it's you. We will get you your swag. Let us know how to get it to you so we can crown our second $2 Sports Show bracket challenge champ, finishing with 1,430 points, winning about 30 points over second place, which was my brother finishing second. Shout out Clark for coming in second again this year.
Well, he did not win.
Know. He came in second last year, but yeah. I mean, otherwise it was a great tournament. You had the best two teams playing there at the end, and with some of the best players, and you got the true national champ, one of the best teams all year long in the UConn Huskies.
Yeah, I think it was a really successful NCAA tournament. It's true. I think you could have. It turned out that you could have just went the BCS format, the old BCS football championship format, where you just pick the two best teams, let them play, and then that was it. Because that's what you got at the end. You got Purdue, you got UConn, and UConn was just so much better than everybody. It was dominating in a way that you haven't really seen the NCAA tournament be dominated in a long time. I remember that Villanova team that had basically all of the
New York Knicks now, you know, with Brunson and Josh Hart and Dante DiVincenzo. That team ran through the tournament. Yeah. This UConn team was just superb. Oh my
and
gosh.
I've talked on this show before my theory about what makes the NCAA tournament good and what is kind of a fad. And this year was a really good tournament because you saw good teams playing good teams the whole way through. There was, with the exception of NC State, and NC State beat good teams.
Yeah, I mean,
but
they weren't
you got to the Sweet 16, and virtually every team in the Sweet 16 were one of the 16 seeds. You know, NC State was the cute team, the Cinderella team, and I do believe that makes the tournament good too. But once it came down to it, you want to see Edey versus
Klingon,
you know, your player of the year versus the best team in the year. And so you got Edey versus Klingon, and it was just an incredible
oh my gosh,
tournament.
We got the dunk of the year on that putback from 23 from Purdue, where he catches it in the first row. My goodness, what a freaking dunk, dude. I had no dog in that hunt, and I leapt off my couch when that happened. What a dunk.
I was sitting in the bed. My wife is reading a book, and we've got a sleeping 1-month-old, and I jumped out of the bed. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, rewind it. I'm like, baby,
what a play.
watch this. I mean, there is nothing more surprising when you see the white guy get up like that. Like, I mean, you know,
they didn't put him in there to dribble. He can either jump out the gym or shoot. They didn't put him in there to dribble.
That was incredible. But yeah, the tournament was good. And my bracket was terrible. But, you know, I kind of go the way I go with fantasy football when it comes to filling out a bracket. You shoot for the stars. Nobody wins that thing, or rarely, except for this year, the people that go chalk lose it or last place every single year. This year happened to be the exception where pretty chalky, the guy who won the $2 bracket league won it because he went just chalky. Like that never happens before.
He had 2 of the 4 Final Four teams. His Final Four were UConn, Arizona, Purdue, and Kentucky, which would have been a strong Final Four. But he picked UConn and Purdue to come out of that. So he got 2 of the 4 in the Final Four and both in the championship game right. So chalky paid off. He got a lot of his Elite Eight was pretty strong, but yeah, you're right. We didn't have that Cinderella team this year outside of NC State, which was still a good basketball team. We had a ton of great matchups. It's always fun. We'll do it again next year with the bracket challenge, but March is consistently one of the best months of sports because it parlays into one of my favorite weeks of the year. And that's when the Masters ascends on Augusta, Georgia. And it is that
What's
time.
going on at Augusta?
Shout out Chris Vernon, Vernon Show, the Masters update. I cannot wait for that to start tomorrow because we had
today, bro.
It started today. That's right. It started today and during the first round, open round Thursday, Friday. We got moving day Saturday before the final round on Sunday. One of the greatest sporting events. Even if you're not a golf fan, you know what the Masters are. You understand the pageantry, and you at least glance at your TV on CBS as you're flipping through channels.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's the Super Bowl of golf, which, I still believe that in order to have respect for golfers, you have to go play one time
for sure
and realize how hard it is. But once you play golf one time, it's just like you can just be impressed. And you've also got that nappability quality in it, and it can be perfect background noise. Like a rainy day like today where I'm in my office, I just kind of had it up beside me listening to it, keeping up with Tiger, because honestly that's why I'm watching it right now is all Tiger. He didn't get to finish his first round because of a 2.5 hour delay, and he was one of the last groups to tee off today, but he is 1 under through I think it was 11 or 12 holes today. So he'll finish up at 7:30 in the morning, and it's just it's a perfect sporting event for it is what it is. It's not the Super Bowl. It's not the World Series, but it's perfect for what it is, and it's the perfect niche spot, and it just hammers it home so well. Jim Nance just putting me to sleep. I feel like I'm in Jim Nance's arms as he's just kind of rocking in a rocking chair softly.
But there's always that story. A couple years ago, it was Zalatoris, but there's always going to be those 1 or 2 guys that just have an incredible run. The low amateur,
right.
It's always going to be an incredible story there. John Rahm was your winner last year. You got the champions dinner where they pick the menu and they have all the festivities that come around it, and you get some really freaking good golf. That's a hard golf course, and so they show you all the videos of like the slopes and the speeds of the green, and those guys that think you can go play on Augusta, like you're wrong. Like you can play there, but you're not going to go well. And I love Brooks Koepka this week when that reporter asked him. He said, "Do you think 59 is in play this week at this course?" And Brooks looked at him and said, "Have you played this course before?" And the reporter said, "No, I haven't yet." And he goes, "Then that's why you asked that question."
Yeah. I mean, and today they were dealing with 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Howling winds.
Bryson DeChambeau did shoot a 65. Sure. I mean, if anything possible.
You can't. Like you and I can't go do that.
No. And the thing that's not talked about, and my boss actually is the one that kind of informed me of this. Every year he goes up the week of the Masters and goes to practice rounds. He said he's gotten drawn one time to actually go to the Masters, but every year he goes up and watches practice rounds. And he said the one thing that you can't get an appreciation of Augusta National is just the terrain. And it is so hilly. And even watching the broadcast today, they were talking about Tiger Woods and like this is only his second tournament he's played all year. What are you worried about with Tiger? And they were like, just can he walk it? Like that's how difficult it is at Tiger's age with all of his surgeries. It's like, is he in good enough shape just to simply walk 72 holes?
Yeah. You just get so many cool stories. The pageantry is second to none, just with tradition and I just want to be able to go stand barefooted. I want to go be able to stand barefooted in what real grass feels like. right? Like feel what it actually feels like. And like, I just know I'm going to go drop a paycheck in the pro shop because A, their stuff is expensive. B, I'm buying all of it. And then enough pimento and cheese sandwiches to carry around in a bucket because they're only $1.50. It's just an incredible experience. Few things in the sports world like it. So even if you don't like golf, tune in this weekend, watch moving day on Saturday. Definitely watch the final round because there will be something you want to see come Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's great. Yeah. So what else you got on the topic?
Well, we didn't talk about basketball. We do need to address the moving. Speaking of moving day, nice little segue there. Right. John Calipari has moved his family from Kentucky over to the great state of Arkansas, the aforementioned state of Arkansas, as he took the head coaching job for the Arkansas Razorbacks. You know, he was offered by Arkansas, and him and his agent went back to Kentucky and said, "Hey, we'd like for you to counter." And they said, "No, thanks." And he moved on to Arkansas, and so he is now the new Razorback head coach. Kentucky is still that.
Yeah, I don't know that I buy that.
Yeah, well, there's always.
I think that's some posturing. You know,
maybe.
He did break up with me. I broke up with him.
Well,
we made the decision not to pay him.
There was a lot of rumblings. There was a lot of rumblings that the fans wanted him out of there. They were tired of not winning, even though, I mean, they're still in the tournament every year, making mostly deep runs. He hadn't won a championship in a few years, but they're still competitive. Got to be careful what you wish for, right? Because you might end up with a coach that may not be of the caliber of John Calipari. But regardless, he is now the head coach at Arkansas, which is just going to – in his press conference yesterday, they showed he had one player left on the roster because everybody graduated, transferred, and one player left. That won't last long.
One of the funniest lines I've ever heard a coach say was, "I just came back from meeting with a team. There is no team." So, yeah, for Kentucky, it's you kind of see where you're at right now. You never know what other people think of your job until your job is open.
Alabama found that out this week in football.
It's a little scary right now for Kentucky, and I'd love to get some takes from our friend Aaron Ivey, some other Kentucky fans, about what they really expect right now. Because, yes, a lot of them were, and Aaron was not this guy. I did talk to Aaron, but a lot of them were just like, fire Calipari, we'll figure out later. We're still Kentucky. We're still a blue blood. We're still the best program in the country. We'll figure it out. Aaron wasn't that guy. He kind of appreciated at least you're competitive. You know, you still got a chance. You keep getting players. You've always got a chance to win it all at Kentucky. But now Scott Drew has apparently said no. Nate Oates at Alabama has apparently said no. They've kind of gotten down to their second or third option. You drew the parallel with replacing Nick Saban with Alabama. You know, you've had several people that you didn't expect to say no. And so do you let that bruise your ego? And a lot of times that's what boosters need. Like in this game where it is NIL, John Calipari went to Arkansas, and the number one reason why he's probably at Arkansas is because of his relationship with the Tyson chicken guy.
Right. Yeah.
And he's pledged, him and Walmart, the Walton family, have apparently pledged $5 million annually to go buy a team. And that is as important as it is what head coach you've got. And so maybe this is the kick in the pants that the Kroger folks need, or whoever the Kentucky big booster is, Corvette or whatever. Yeah, that they need to reinvigorate them and to reestablish their contributions to the NIL program. Because Calipari never had a problem getting players, and you can't let it be
You're right.
You can't let Calipari be the reason why you're getting good players today. It's got to be money.
That's what happened in Memphis. Memphis was getting good players because John Calipari. He left, and they haven't really been the same since he left. Yeah. You know, names that may keep coming up is Chris Beard, a name that comes up in Ole Miss. That's a name that
I haven't heard it yet.
I haven't either, but it's a name that you think might. But there are other big name coaches out there. I think Kentucky's going to keep swinging at that top tier until they get somebody to say yes. Not everybody's going to turn that down. That's somebody's dream job. They're
not going about it the right way. The way that I would do it. You know, Chris Beard is not a name that I would pick over. You know, your first call is obviously Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley said 100%. No. Yeah. You know, the second call was who am I forgetting? You know,
Nate Oates was the top
Nate
call
Oates.
that they made.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You make Nate Oates tell you no, and then you make Nate Oates tell you no again, and then you make Nate Oates tell you again. Then you go to Scott Drew. None of these coaches, I don't know that any of these coaches should be contacted after Chris Beard. Now, maybe you get to the level where Chris Beard's at. Chris Beard, I said it on this show throughout the season, was always linked to Arkansas. Arkansas and Chris Beard never linked up. Chris Beard ended up signing his extension that was on the table, and it wasn't much of a story, but they did zero in on him for a minute.
Right.
And there's natural ties there outside of just basketball ties. He's from Arkansas, like the whole thing. And so they got Calipari. Now Kentucky's left. They're not scrambling yet. Kentucky will always have that. Oh, we're Kentucky.
The allure,
yeah, but they'll also have that state of mind like, oh, we're not scrambling, we're Kentucky. We'll just, we'll go. They'll end up selling with like Billy Donovan or somebody, and they'll be like, great. They're not going to get a bad coach out of this. It's not going to be like the Tennessee football fiasco after they rebelled against Greg Schiano and ended up with Josh Heupel. Turned out to be good, but at the moment you're just like, really?
Well, they had Jeremy Pruitt in there. Remember, they went through Jeremy Pruitt to get to Josh Heupel. So there was that bad step. So Kentucky may go through that, but likely not, because they have so much Nike money. There's so much AAU influence there that Kentucky has that somebody's going to take that job. They may have a setback, but it won't be for long.
They just can't go the route of, say, like Louisville or, one of those teams where you just the NIL becomes a problem. That can't be the reason why you lose in Kentucky. And so you're going to have to ante up and have that. Calipari said, made the comment that at Arkansas, I'm not going to. I have the commitment for NIL funds. It's not up to me to every year to go re-rally the troops to contribute. Now, I think a lot of that sour grapes and Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio said, well, the reason why he had to rally the troops every year is because he burned every bridge in town. So a lot of that's chicken or the egg. Who's right? Pick a side. But I think that Calipari is going to do a really good job at Arkansas. Musselman showed that you can get really good players at Arkansas. He did leave under mysterious circumstances. There are rumors that we're not going to talk about on this show about what happened in that locker room this year. And Musselman just wanted out. Nobody goes and takes the USC job from Arkansas because they think it's a step up. They want to get out of town. And so Calipari is coming in with a totally blank canvas. He's he's a good basketball coach, and he's going to be expected for Final Fours and a couple of national champions.
Yep. And we might have some of those Arkansas teams from the 90s that were so tough. But
here we go. Okay. Per Pete Thamel, breaking news. Kentucky is targeting BYU coach Mark Pope to be the school's next head coach.
Really?
Yeah. So you remember when we were talking about like they were going to get that's going to have to take some
moving down the list a little bit. Yikes.
Somebody at the Kentucky Post Gazette or whatever their local newspaper is going to have a real puff piece on Mr. Mark Pope, and that'll be the first time I hear this name.
I mean, BYU was decent. They were like a top 6 seed, and they were like the 6th or 7th seed. They were a decent team in the Big 12.
No, they won. They won. Right?
They lost in the second round.
Okay.
Did they know?
I think I picked them to upset or somebody.
And they didn't.
Anyways.
Anyway, regardless, they were a decent basketball team, but that's not the caliber hire. That's like Alabama settling on what's his name because you got turned down by all the coaches that you wanted. Like that's the Washington coach.
He's this very much feels like the Tennessee hire where they landed on Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel turned out to be good. If you can be good anywhere, Kentucky's a good job to
that's it.
Take a run at it.
They were a 6th seed. They got upset by the 11th seed Duquesne in the first round, 71-67. I picked BYU, as did you. But again, this is not your first choice. This is not, you're Mal Moore came out and was like, we always have this guy targeted. No, sir, you didn't.
Of course. He was our first choice.
Thank you. DeBoer finally came to me because I said, that's like I told my brother, DeBoer sounds a lot like DeBose, which sounds like 6 and 6. But we'll see what happens in Kentucky. It might be different for the basketball school. But Drew, we're winding down the show. As always, this is our show. If you made it this far, you got to humor us and let us talk about college baseball for a little bit because our two teams are playing some moderately good baseball. in Starkville. We did have a big series win over Georgia. We held the NCAA leader in home runs and batting average to a he hit 250 on the weekend, and he had a 1 RBI. That was it. Like, Condon didn't do anything against State. Really shut him down. And for the first time in his college baseball career, Slade Alford, our former third baseman, current Georgia Bulldog third baseman, actually helped Mississippi State Bulldogs win a baseball game on Sunday by throwing one into the dugout, allowing some runs to score, and Mississippi State ultimately taking the win on Sunday. So shout out, Slade, you finally helped us win a game. But Mississippi State took 2 out of 3 from a good Georgia baseball team. We held court at home, right? We had 2 straight weekend series where we won 1 at A&M. We were 3 outs away from sweeping Florida, but we went 1-2 in Gainesville. Lost the midweek to Central Arkansas for some unknown reason, only to turn around and take 2 out of 3 from Georgia. We were supposed to play UAB earlier this week, but it got rained out. And now it's a rivalry weekend where we play.
Say it one more time.
That's it. You get 2 shots at that, and that's it. Playing at Ole Miss this weekend in Oxford for what is going to be a pivotal series for both programs. We're both. It feels like that point in the season where the road's going to fork, right?
It's moving day.
It's moving day, 100% for our Masters reference. If State can go and win 2 out of 3 on the road, our trajectory is to Hoover gets a whole lot better, right? We're very much heading in that direction. You lose 2 out of 3 on the road to a team that's struggling a little bit, that's a different conversation. And then the lemon jokes come back on Twitter about Chris Lemonis as our head coach, but we have a really good shot this weekend. I think we're playing good baseball. Our bats are waking up. We scored a ton of runs against Georgia. Even on Saturday when we lost, we still scored 6 runs. I mean, we're scoring a ton of runs, hitting the baseball well. Pitching has been pretty solid for us lately. I look for us to win 2 out of 3 this weekend in Arkansas. You never look for a sweep on the road in the SEC, but I think 2 out of 3 is very attainable in Oxford this weekend.
Yeah. So Ole Miss is going the wrong way. So Ole Miss went to Fayetteville and got swept. We talked about this last week. It is not the place you want to go play when you're when you're struggling. Ole Miss has currently lost 8 of their last 9 SEC baseball games. I did do the math just a second ago. Their SEC opponents they played this year, have a combined record of 35-13 in the SEC. I mean, just a murderer's row. And it's not what you expected, because you didn't expect Kentucky right now to be leading the East at 11-1.
Jeez.
Arkansas is 11-1. Tennessee is 7-5, and South Carolina is 6-6. Ole Miss right now is 3-9, and the only team worse than them in the SEC is Auburn at 2-10. It's really bad right now, and the Kentucky series was humbling. I mean, it was really bad. The series before that, you lost 2 out of 3 to Tennessee, in which 2 of those games, the 2 losses, you got run ruled in 7 innings. You got run ruled in a game against Kentucky in a home sweep, and then you go to Arkansas and get swept. Although you did play 27 innings, I guess if you want to find a bright spot, you didn't get run ruled. Yeah, and it is time to pee or get off the pot. As an Ole Miss fan, as a fan of this team, you're 3-9 right now, and you only play 30. You're 12 games into a 30 games into a 30 game season, in which you need to be at minimum 14-16. You're looking at Mississippi State right now; they're 6-6 in the SEC, and you need to sweep them. Like, you have to sweep them, because your schedule doesn't get any easier. I mean, it's just a really bad spot to be in. We're starting, we started our best reliever on Sunday against Arkansas, and he pitched pretty good. It was a competitive game, but you're getting desperate. You're getting desperate with arms. Liam Doyle, who I came on this show for multiple weeks and praised as being an absolute anchor on Saturday. He was lights out in his first 3 starts. He's been really bad 2 starts in a row now, and you need him to get out this night. Your Friday night guy who didn't start the season opener guy, the Friday night guy, is not even pitching. The guy they replaced him with to pitch Friday nights was moved to Sunday, and now he's not even pitching. So you've got 2 relievers that started the season as relievers that are pitching on Friday in Sunday now for Ole Miss, and it's been another season so far in which you're just searching for answers. Like, I don't know what you do. I started the season really down because you lost to Arkansas State. You played poorly against Hawaii. It just wasn't good. I didn't think there was any redeemable qualities. But the team has showed in that series at home against South Carolina, who's 6-6 in the SEC right now, that you're capable of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't pitch, you're not capable of much.
Yeah.
And it's like they're too moody. You need everything to be working or nothing. So they're bipolar. It's all or nothing. And right now, they can't stop doing nothing.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be able to hit that reset button somewhere. And a rivalry weekend, if there's a way to rally the troops, to rally the energy inside that dugout, sweeping your in-state rival at home is a great way to do it. It is Grove Bowl weekend. The Grove Bowl is Saturday. It's just it has a recipe to be really good. Am I confident? No, but I'm just here telling you that if there's a recipe for a revival here, beating your arch rival in a sweeping your arch rival is the way to do it. And not to mention, it's Rusty, I'm sure you've got the stat. Ole Miss has not won a series against Mississippi State in how long?
2015.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to do it at some point.
10 years. I was living in Memphis the last time that happened. So 2015 was the last time it happened. You're right. There's nothing cures your ails like a big win against a rival to get you off the snide, but it ain't happening this weekend. Dogs on top. Let's go.
I'm curious to see what the starting lineup looks like as far as pitching goes. I'm sure Mitch Morrell will start on Friday. He did a really good job against Arkansas on Friday, and Mason Nichols did a really good job on Sunday against Arkansas, and those were two close games. If those two can replicate what they did against Arkansas is just better than us. The starting pitchers did their job last weekend. Arkansas was just better than us. Liam Doyle needs to get back to, but Liam Doyle thinks he can be okay. He cannot be bad, and he has been bad. He has not gotten out of the third inning, I believe, in his last two starts, and it's been because of walks.
Yeah,
and so he's got if the starting pitchers can go 5 innings, I still believe in this team they can get enough runs across the plate. They are not efficient on offense. Honestly, the problem with our starting pitching is even if this works, you've taken your two best relievers in a bullpen that was really solid earlier in the year. You've taken your two best relievers and moved them into starting rotation, and you've just made your bullpen a lot more shallow. Yeah. And so I'm curious to see what happens. I'm mildly optimistic. I offered Rusty tickets, and he chose not to take them to tomorrow night's game.
I chose not to take him.
Yeah, the pagan company that. But anyways, maybe we will work it out this weekend at some point. But listen, I'm always going to rally behind whatever Ole Miss team is when they're playing Mississippi State. Yeah. Like you have no choice but to rally behind them. And because I will never concede a Mississippi State series, no matter how bad we are and how good you guys are. I will not sit here and say I think Ole Miss will lose. I can't.
You can't, and that's what I'm saying. I think we can go in there and we can sweep him. 2 out of 3 is the floor. I think a sweep can happen. It's going to be tough for y'all this weekend. We still don't have Nate Doan back. I hope that he can come back here soon. He's been dealing with an injury, but we got Kyle Stevens Friday night, Durangelo on Saturday, and then you're in trouble on Sunday because it's TBD and the Black Silhouettes pitching on Sunday. So watch out, Ole Miss Rebels.
Staff. Yeah,
that's it. TBD is pitching on Sunday. So, but listen. Another great show. Join the Discord, $5 a month, less than your cup of coffee to come hang out with us in the Discord. Y'all can chop it up with us, other great content creators. Get your latest Bluff City Media, sports news, information. I got a puppy that just woke up from a nap, so I got to let her out before she pees in my floor again. But thanks again for tuning in. If you made it to an hour and 10 minutes, we love you. We appreciate y'all. We do it for each other, but we're grateful that y'all are here to listen and tag along with us. Thanks for being here. Interact with us on social media.
Pretty chalky. Hit us up.
Hit us up.
Pretty chalky. We need to hear from you.
That's right. And you don't get a refund for the $2 Sports Show at all, Drew. Why is that, sir?
Because with the $2 Sports Show, you always get what you pay for.
Thanks for coming out, guys. See y'all next
See you
week.
Friday.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back